All right, all right, all right. We are back. Here we go. Um, all right, what next? So, next, I think we should do some group therapy. Would be a really good idea. A chance to check in with our characters and see how they're feeling about recent events. Also, just want to make mention that, yeah, Drew is not going to be joining us today again, but we have high hopes that he will be coming back into the fold, joining the party once again soon enough. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. And, yeah, who wants to start group therapy?
I will, since I don't normally start it. Uh, I mean, Rue doesn't have opinions. He's continuing to live life without emotions. So
You got to try harder than that.
that is my really easy way to just get through Rue. Um, Eridu, on the other hand, Eridu is scared. For good reason. He just took on the form of the power of a Feywild, kind of locked it in himself, and now is going through this Scaradu, and now is going through this emotional battle. Um, how to keep this thing contained. And sort of a bit of a peek in Eridu's mind last week, we got to see these boxes, which he essentially is putting his emotions into as a way of protecting himself from Leah for her own good. And he's just more or less attempting to shove Tix into a similar kind of thing. But being that Tix is not his emotion, Tix is a Fey Lord, which is its own thing. We'll see how that goes. But he's gonna put on a brave face and pretend like he's got it all figured out, because God forbid Leah gets scared and tries to, take care of him. But he is trying to take care of her.
No, we wouldn't want Leah to take care of Eridu. That could go terribly wrong.
Yeah, because Eridu's got to take care of Leoden.
Mm, they're doing that thing again.
They are doing that thing.
That thing. Yeah, Leah. Um, you would think that she'd be less like full of all of the um, love and fear and rage that she had going on last week, but no, she's still got. It's like things have just gotten more complicated somehow. And she still has Eridu, but he's done something really stupid and he could die at any second. Is kind of how she's feeling about that. And so, like, she was very fueled by rage last week, and did a few sort of badass things. Her anger wasn't necessarily at Tix; it was at Eridu for being such a stupid idiot. Well, that's brothers. What can you do with them? Um, she's still very much seething with love and fear and anger, and also feeling incredibly helpless because she kind of went into Eridu's psyche and his emotions at the end there to try and figure out what was going on, and then realized there was nothing she could do to help him. And he asked her for help, and she had nothing. She doesn't know how to contain emotions. That's the opposite of what she does. Um, so of course her next thing is to ask Senna, but in the meantime, she's just feeling at a loss and afraid, and um, currently that's consuming everything. Although still in the back of her head, she is thinking about Eigner as well, and like right after that last vision happened and she realized she had to kind of rethink her approach, she also kind of realized that she might need to talk to Eigner in the future. And like she feels either like the most qualified person to talk to him because she sees a lot of parallels, or the least qualified person because she does not have her shit figured out. So, we'll see where that goes, if it goes anywhere. And that's Leah.
Um, well, I think Ellie now is pretty much just like fully focused on getting Eigner back, and she has this like determination that she's never gonna let this drow god back. Like whatever it takes, she's not gonna let her come back. Um, she enjoyed kind of sassing the Feylord a little bit. That was fun. Um, any opportunity she gets. Yeah, she's not. I don't think she's processed the Eridu stuff yet. I think it all happened kind of too quickly, and she was so like focused on the Eigner stuff, and like she's still not really processed the whole like she thought he was dead, but he's not, and now he's like a tree man. Like it's all happened a little bit too quickly for her. But I guess like she'll get there. I think her main thing now is just getting rid of this god and getting Eigner back. That's what she is.
All right. Excellent. So, yeah, where we last left off, last session pretty much was almost entirely consumed with a very epic battle that the group had with Tix the Feylord. Quick recap was that Tix was containing, using his massive powers of being a Feylord, he was containing a bomb that was in the process of exploding, and he was just keeping it from exploding, even though it was in the process of going. And then when Urana showed up, just casually took the bomb away from Tix, and instead of just containing it, she slowly began to implode it upon itself. Then there was this crazy, crazy old battle. Tix, as he was getting beat up, started to bleed profusely, acidic blood all over the place. Got to be quite a mess. And at the point where Tix became especially weakened, and he became especially weakened after being hammered by some spells that Leah threw his way. After he got sufficiently weakened and then crippled by the casting of Power Word Pain by Leah upon him, he was in a very weakened state. And that's when Eridu took the bomb from Urana and then took it to Tix, and there was this weird, like the bomb exploded but then stopped at this certain point and then whoosh, went back in on itself and fused the two of them together. So yeah, now Eridu is a strange fey. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, like a chimera of fey energy, along with his own
Tree
Eridu-like
man.
self.
He's a tree man.
Tree man. He's like a tree man.
Some
know what
kind
I
of
mean?
tree man.
Some kind of tree man. And then the group had this moment of just trying to come to grips with what had just happened. And then Ellie had some sassy words for Urana and essentially told her, "You're going to take us back. You're going to take us back to the material plane right now, and you're going to leave Eigner alone." And Urana more or less said, like, "Yeah, sure, my job is done." Oh, I forgot to mention as well, when the group was talking to Tix slash Eridu, Urana had gone and rustled up one of the big seeds that was on the giant tree, and then she proceeded to go over to this pool of Tix's blood that was pooling around, and she took the seed and rolled it in the blood so that it became completely saturated with that stuff. And then, holding it like a beach ball, like this, Urana was talking to everyone and saying, like, "Okay, fine, yeah, I'll take you back. My job here is done." And then that's when I think it was Leah said, but we're taking him with us, right? Pointing to Tix slash Eridu. And that's kind of where we ended the session. So we will start this session right where that left off. And Urana holding the bloody giant seed like a beach ball right there. She will look all sassy at everyone and say, "If you wish, it shall be done."
Good. I hope it works.
Of course it will work.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
Heretics? Hold on. Heretics?
Heretic, you wanna roll for deception there?
Only if I'm allowed to deceive myself as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just as his tone seemed to convey, with a 9, I don't think
He's so
Arrogant
convinced
is very convinced.
it's gonna be fine.
I promise, it'll be fine.
Can we say Tixadu instead? Tixadu
It doesn't
instead
matter.
of Heretics?
I'm not... Duotix? I don't know.
No, don't do a Tix.
Whatever you do, don't do that.
Rue is looking Eridu up from head to toe and says, "You seem to be infested with magics. I have a way of dealing with that. Would you like my help?"
Do not punch the magic.
Is that really Rue's only way of dispelling magic?
Yes.
Like he
yes.
can't just cast dispel magic. Like he
No,
has
he
to
has
punch.
got to punch something.
He has to punch.
Yes, he punches the magic out of things. That is his whole thing.
That's how I built him. That's how Ellie would build him.
Exactly. Ellie's like, you don't need to dispel it. You just need to beat the crap out of it till magic's gone.
Classic Ellie.
Totally fair. Totally fair. All right. So with that having been said, Urana will walk over and try and get everyone gathered. Actually, she'll go toward the base of the giant tree in front of you all, and she'll sigh in this very tired way, as if she just has a bunch of annoying children following her. And she'll say, "Ah, come along now. Don't want to get left behind in the Feywild, do you?"
I wouldn't mind so much. This place seems to be lovely.
Shows what you know.
I would accuse Rue of sarcasm, but I don't think that's possible.
There
Oh.
are all these emotions, and they seem to be outside of me. It is the best ever. When they get inside of this area, I am very confused.
Oh yeah,
Yes, he's going to refer to his head as this area.
this area. That whole
Well,
area.
I'm stood right up next to her. Like, I am not leaving her side whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. As you stand close to Urana, you get this very strong smell hitting your nose, and it is the stench of blood covering the giant seed that Urana is holding. It's got this almost like sulfurous kind of quality to it, both in the smell and also how it it like stings your eyes a little bit. It's got that like kind of vibe to it.
I would just interject briefly to say that I think this might be the first time that Leah has begun to put together, just from Rue saying what he just said, that her emotions have been affecting Rue. Don't know why she didn't put that together before. I think she was distracted. So while we're all doing this, she's just staring at Rue with confusion and guilt resurfacing.
Certainly. And don't forget about Hillowfax. Hillowfax, who just wanted to mention, had a really humorous moment where he was held upside down by the branch of the tree that whipped him and got his leg, and he unintentionally exposed himself and his skivvies to the rest of the group. Uh,
Important.
yeah, it was entertaining. Maybe Urana looked over and gave him a little wink or something like that. Something creepy like that. But yeah, Hillowfax, who has been blushing quite a bit, has calmed down, and he's in the process of straightening his robes and clearing his throat. Yes, it would be preferable for us to make haste and depart this plane as quickly as we can. He,
Hillowfax, you have no reason to be embarrassed. You are quite a specimen.
Hill, Hillowfax blushes furiously and doesn't. Seems like he doesn't know how to take a compliment from Eridu's new form or
It was also a
whatever.
very awkward compliment.
It was a
Was
very.
that even a compliment?
Was that even a compliment? That's for
Yeah,
you to
covering her
decide.
face with her hands and hiding now.
That's for you to decide
Yeah.
as the audience. So the group is gathering together in front of the very big and very creepy looking tree, and Urana places one hand on the gnarly bark, and she looks back at you all and just gives you one of her trademark creepy smiles. And then there's a shimmer in the air. The wind of the Feywild, packed with pure emotion, starts to swirl around you all in this whirlwind. Your hair starts to whip around. Hillowfax's robes fly up once again in an embarrassing flash. Uh, there is this strange light that starts to glow around Eretix. I'm just gonna say Eridu. Everyone
You
understands.
can say Eridu.
Just gonna say
I'm making
Eridu.
funny names. You're fine.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say Eridu, and everyone understands that they did this whole Dragon Ball Z type fusion kind of thing. You know what I mean.
Mm.
So there's this strange light that starts to glow around Eridu, and it gets more energetic and seems to pulse with the way that the wind is whipping around you all. And the lights go crazy, everything goes dark, and then the darkness starts to lift, and you find yourselves back in the material plane, standing in front of the same kind of gnarly looking tree. This one, of course, is much smaller than the monolithic, enormous one that you just came from in the Feywild. This is the one that is just a little bit outside of Bronzewood Grove. It's the one that you were led to initially to get into the Feywild. You guys have popped right back. And while the rest of you are having this experience of just trying to shake off the I don't know, the feeling of like, where are we or whatever. By the time you come to, you see that Urana, still in Eigner's hot body, has decided to just keep on walking. She's just making a beeline toward Bronzewood Grove. Not really caring if the rest of you are following her or not.
I sprint after the second I come around. Like, I'm not, like, staying to chat.
How's Eridu doing?
Eridu is, he's feeling all right. There's, relatively speaking, there should be this kind of strange feeling of tension It's like when you were in the Feywild, the the ticks part of you felt more, I guess, at ease or more comfortable or more something, and then the Eridu part had to like fight to stay in control or
Mhm.
something. And now, since you're back in the material plane, that has flipped. You can tell that the ticks part is the one that's like having to fight to stay like relevant or whatnot, where the Eridu part feels much more comfortable and feels much more like at home and in control of the situation.
Okay. Do I
Um,
look a lot more Eridu-ish now that I'm in,
yeah,
more in control?
yeah, I was thinking that there would be some kind of shift in that
Yeah.
way. I'm not sure how much. I think Eridu should still look like kind of fucked up, to be honest. Still like unnatural looking, but a little more reminiscent of Eridu.
Okay, so maybe like I imagine someone would look if they had the bark skin spell cast on them,
Yeah.
uh, where like his skin looks a little more like hardened and possibly a little cracked, but somewhere between like fleshy and not and like wood.
Mhm.
But otherwise, like the horns are gone, the claws are gone. There's none of that like demonly or fayish looking garbage.
Fey garbage.
Fey
Fey
garbage.
Fey
It's
garbage.
you know, fey garbage is really it's emotional garbage. That's what I'm hearing.
Probably. So Leah's whole life, emotional garbage.
Oh man,
All
Leah
right.
needs to stop, collecting fey trash.
Yeah.
That might be it.
Speaking of Leoden,
Hmm.
Leoden has much a very different reaction to the rest of the party with coming back to the Feywild. When Leah was in the Feywild, she felt this rush of power, this rush of magical energy flowing through her. She felt like, to reference Dragon Ball Z again, she felt like she had gone like Super Saiyan, you know? She felt like she had more control and just like ability to project her power than ever before. So much so that she was kind of getting drunk on the power, letting it overwhelm her. And now that she's back in the material plane, it's almost like that rush of power kind of followed her from the Feywild, and in one huge surge, just dumps into her mind, through her body, and but this time it causes this shock, this absolute shock, and she just feels this crash, you know, like if you've had any kind of drug like substance, even if you've just had way too much coffee and you have that crash, it's kind of like that, but times 1,000 because we're talking about crazy Feywild magics, you know? So Leah went from the highest highs to going.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say that she staggers, maybe even like drops to the ground for a second while she's uh, losing her ability to even. Um, uh, so that might she's probably Urana slash Eigner and Ellie are like way ahead of her at that
Yep,
point.
for sure.
Um, I don't
Hillowf-
know.
Hillowfax, however, is right next to Leah, and as Hillowfax, ever composed and observant, notices Leah teetering and falling to the ground, he immediately leans over and says, "Oh, Leodin. Oh, my dear. Are you fine? Are you okay? Please, let me help you up. You take my arm."
Oh, does she refuse it or does she accept it?
I don't know. How's she feeling? All crashed out.
Yeah, I know she's
Yeah.
probably just super out of it and kind of dazed, so she'll just kind of blindly accept his assistance
Mm-hmm.
uh, until she evens out, if she even does.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she'll just kind of stagger along.
All right. He'll be trying to get your arm around his arm, and with the other arm he's going to try and lift, hold Leah's shoulder and lift her up, and they're going to try and take some steps together and walk and follow the rest of the group. But it's slow going. It's slow going, and Leah is among the other physical symptoms that she's having. The biggest one is just a pounding headache, just a pounding like migraine, pulsing with magical power. Just have you ever had a magic migraine? Way worse than a
Nope.
normal migraine.
But this is it now.
But this is it.
Eridu is actually probably at the end back of the group, walking with Rue, and he sort of gives Rue a bit of an elbow. And Rue turns his mechanical head, looks up at him, and he says, "Is there something happening here between these two?" Rue looks at them and says, "Yes, he is helping her walk."
Oh, Ryu. So helpful.
Ever the innocent one, ever the helpful one, for sure.
That gives Eridu a bit of a smile and just kind of pats Rue. Poor innocent child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So way in the back, you got Hillowfax and Leah struggling up the hill toward the top of the hill in the clearing that is Bronzewood Grove. You've got Eridu and Rue probably walking behind them, and way in the front, you got Urana, who is just strutting her stuff up the hill, and Ellie, who's just trying to keep up. And I'm not sure what Ellie's doing. Just keeping an eye on the situation, or
Can I try and talk to her?
sure.
Can say. So there was one of those trees that you can travel through right where we needed to be.
There are many trees, and I can choose any one of them to travel
why-
to.
Why didn't you choose the one that was right where we needed to go? Why did you make us walk through all that stupid stuff?
I told you why. You needed to know. You needed to see who
Why do you need us
Eigner
to see
truly
this?
is.
Why? Why do you need us to see that stuff?
It's for your own good. I know
Do you mean? Go on.
I know you don't believe me, she says with a sly smile. You have no reason to trust me. And obviously, my domain is deception, among other things. But that doesn't mean that I'm incapable of telling the truth.
The way I see it is that yes, maybe you are telling us the truth about things in Eigner's past, but I don't think you were doing it for our benefit at all. I think you were doing it to isolate Eigner more from his friends. You didn't do anything in any of this for anyone but yourself. Don't even keep trying to tell me you did it for us.
That is for you to decide.
I have decided it. It's already decided.
Well spoken.
Very, very well.
So, are you going now, or like, cause where are you even going? Like, you're not welcome in the house, so I don't know why.
Don't worry your little head. I will be going soon enough.
How much is he gonna remember?
Nothing, she says with a sick grin. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, I would like to try and do something. It's probably going to take a sleight of hand, actually, to do. I mean, and this is me just gambling that she's actually going to say anything more than she knows. So, I want to try and like press my like recording thingy in my pocket without her noticing. That's like up to you. It needs a roll or not.
Yeah, go ahead and make it a sleight of hand.
15.
Okay. I'm not necessarily going to indicate to you whether or not you succeeded.
Okay.
But I did make a roll.
Okay. So then I'm gonna say, so are you intending to try and come back?
I am a goddess, and I will do whatever I please. If it suits my purposes to once again inhabit Eigner's body, then I will do so. But I'm confident that my plans will come to fruition, and that will not be necessary.
What plan?
Don't want to spoil the surprise for you, sweet thing.
Ah.
Ellie just had like a mental image of
Yeah.
like her taking the spit off of Eigner's face and going,
Pretty much.
oh, oh, oh.
So, well, yeah. You should know this. I am now making it my personal mission to make sure that anything you have planned or set up, or any further interactions or messing around with Eigner, is never going to happen and will be stopped.
Urana just grins in her wicked way and says, "Good luck. You'll need it."
Whatever. We'll keep following.
All right. So I imagine the rest of the group is still taking their sweet time to come along, but they can, they're still in. They can see still fairly well to the top of the hill. And as Ellie and Urana reach the top of the hill, they see two other figures coming to the top of the hill from the opposite side, and it is both Leovan and Senna. And Senna looks down and sees Leodin just clutching her head and barely making her way up the hill. And Senna just has that very worried, grandmotherly look, but there's an element of knowing. It's like Senna could have expected that this was going to happen to Leah. And Leovan, looking as passive as ever, merely nods to Urana as she approaches. And Urana goes up to Leovan, takes the bloody seed from under her arm, presents it to Leovan, and says, "It is done." Leovan nods knowingly, and in a flash, uses his wild shape to turn into a rock. R-O-C, like R-O-C. It's like the giant
Big bird.
eagle,
Yep.
big bird. Transforms
Not
into
the Sesame Street character.
No.
Just
No.
to clarify, in
And-
case anybody was confused.
And not Dwayne the Rock Johnson either. He doesn't
Oh.
turn into Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I thought that was the whole reason to become a druid, so you could turn into the Rock.
New character idea. Right
I
there.
wild shape
Right
into
there.
a rock.
I wild shape into the greatest professional wrestler in the world. Okay. Anyways,
Enough of this.
Leovan uses his wild shape to transform into a giant eagle. In one massive claw, he grips the bloody seed, and with several beats of his giant wings, takes off from the top of the hill, flattening the grass, blowing everyone's hair in the wind, and he takes off into the distance.
See, I find that very curious, but I'm pretty sure that Leah doesn't notice because she's too busy being fucked up. So,
Well, Eridu probably had something smarmy to say, but upon seeing Senna, uh, the the veins along his neck kind of pulsate that green explosive color. And
Mmm.
his eyes sort of start to glow a little bit, and anybody who's paying attention sees he clenches his fists and his jaws and is just concentrating really really hard, and then the light starts to diminish again.
that is also very interesting, and Leah probably doesn't notice.
Probably not. Just to, mechanics wise, I made a will save because Tix had a reaction.
Uh-huh.
Eridu was able to hold it back.
Very good, very good. At this time, a couple more figures. I think mostly just Emily comes up now to the edge of the hill just to check out what's going on. And you hear some murmuring from the people further down the hill. They hear some murmuring. Emily's just got this kind of uh, excitable kind of voice about her. It seems like she's asking for a status report. She's expressing that she's glad that people were able to make it back safely, and then she does this and looks off into the distance and sees the giant Leovan eagle flying off into the distance, and she furrows her brow in confusion, trying to make out exactly what's going on over there. Also, I guess I was gonna make you guys do some kind of perception check, but it doesn't. It's not really a perception check thing. Maybe everyone but Leah, who is indisposed at the moment, anyone who watches Leovan going off into the distance, can tell that he is flying in the direction of Twin Harbor.
That's
Rue is staring at the bird flying away.
Pretty bird.
He turns to Hillowfax and says, "Should we be concerned about that?"
A most curious development. I am not sure what to make of it. But I'm sure if we should have any concerns, we can deal with them presently in just a moment.
And then he's going to look at Eigner and say, "Are you done with my dear friend? Can you please leave him now?"
So the group has reached the top of the hill. There is this kind of tense moment of just wondering, well, what now? And Urana, still inhabiting Eigner's body, looks over you all, somehow looking down at you all, even though Eigner's not incredibly tall or whatever. She has this demeanor of just condescension in looking down on everybody else. And she says something akin to a kind farewell. It's not really that kind. But she says, "I am done for the moment. But remember, I will always be here. Always. And you can always whisper to me."
"No, thank you."
She gives her last trademark creepy stare to you all And then, without much fanfare or anything really flashy, the most that you see is this wisp of shadowy stuff escape out of Eigner's mouth, out of his nose, even a little bit out of the corners of his eyes and out of his ears. It just seems like this kind of wispy shadow just kind of comes out of the inside of his head and just comes out of him. There's a look of just absolute elation on Eigner's face for a second. And then his body just
I catch him.
collapses. Okay. Dexterity save. No, you got this.
Yeah?
You got this. No,
I'm right there.
obviously Ellie's right there. She's ready for anything.
But
Eigner's
does she fall down with him on top of her?
strength saving throw.
That's not where you want him to wake up from, is it? Like, why am I on top of you?
Isn't this the kind of thing we do when there's no one else around?
Probably. So yeah, Egner's body collapses. Ellie catches the dead weight and struggles to keep him somewhat upright or just keep him from hitting the ground. And if she goes to check his vitals and check to see if he's breathing, like he's fine. I mean his pulse is normal, relatively. He's breathing softly, if a bit like rapidly, as if he's like having some kind of like fever dream. He's got a yeah. But he is most certainly unconscious at the moment.
All right.
Are we just like out? Where are we? Outside the house, like?
Yeah, I mean, like you're a fair distance away. Like the way I imagine Bronzewood Grove is that there's this hill, it goes to this top, and it's almost like this butte-like area, but it's nice. It's got grass, so it's like a really wide, flat area. You've got this gorgeous elevated view of Twin Harbor over there, the beautiful rural countryside going in the other direction. You've got the various copses of trees that are all around. So like the house is over here and you guys are a fair bit over here, just at the point where the hill starts to descend. And Emily is looking at all of this going down. She looks at Leodin, just totally indisposed. She looks at Eigner, who is now unconscious in Ellie's arms. She looks at Eridu, who looks like a bark man. A man covered in bark. And
Oh, other type of bark. Sorry.
yeah. And then Emily says with just this tone of disbelief and confusion, she says, "What the hell is going on?"
Yes, we are also trying to figure this out.
Leah vomits on Hillowfax's shoes.
Hillowfax says, "Oh dear."
I think that it is time for me to intercede here, Hillowfax.
Very well, very well.
Eridu's gonna kind of ease Leah to the sitting position. Are you okay? What can we do to help you?
Ask Senna for help.
And then Eridu will look up and kind of take in Senna for the first time. Eridu's actually doing this. And, Senna, I haven't seen you for quite some time, but right now Leah needs your help. She
Yes,
came back from the Feywilds looking this way.
as I knew she would. Senna.
Didn't warn me, but whatever.
Mentors are good for that.
Yeah.
Assholes.
for sure. Senna goes and kneels down, and she's got a small leather pouch that's got all sorts of like herbs and stuff like that in there. So she reaches in and grabs a handful of herbs and crushes them in her hand, and leans down in front of Leah's face with the crushed herbs, and then she rubs it in between her hands, which starts to make this aroma arise, and it's a strong combination of smells. It's almost like a bit of sage and incense type smells, but then it also has this sharpness to it that you know would would wake you up a little bit. And she speaks softly to Leah and says, "My child, I am sorry I could not give you more guidance along this path, but some trials you must face in the moment. I knew that you would have the strength, and I knew that when that strength was taken from you, that you would spend some time in weakness, but you will bounce back. You will be strong again." She goes on to give more hushed, encouraging words, and the herbs and the aroma that is hitting Leodin's nostrils are doing a little bit to dull the pain of the headache, not taking away the full force of it, but definitely helping a little bit. Yeah. So Leah probably would have it together enough to be able to string together a little conversation now. Meanwhile, Hillowfax has been casting prestidigitation on his robes and his shoes to clean up the vomit. And he's going around to the grass and just kind of cleaning up every little bit of that, mumbling to himself, "Oh dear, what did she have to eat? This is rather curious."
Um, Leah will grab Senna's hand and say, "Help Eridu. He's done something insane, and I can't help him. I don't know how."
Senna looks at you deep within your eyes, and with a very serious face, she says, "There's nothing I can do to help Eridu. He has made his choice. He will have to live with the consequences. But he's not completely gone. I sense Tix within him. Tix has a very strong presence within him. But he's still Eridu. In some way. In some way, he's still there."
Know that I'm standing right here.
See? He's still there.
Oh.
And even though I was having a momentary conversation with a voice in my head who sounds a lot like my children's mother, no, that's not a thing that's happening. No, he's gonna look at Senna and say, "And I would like to backtrack and address something with you quick. The fact that you knew the weakness that Leah would feel in the Feywild and didn't tell her is a load of crap. I understand the idea of giving her the ability to overcome a trial, but a little bit of warning is necessary sometimes, especially if you have the ability to do it."
She looks over to Eridu with that same impassive, very serious looking face, and she kinda snaps at Eridu, but still with that kindly grandmotherly way. She says, "This is the way of things. In the Feywild, as it is in the wild spaces of the material plane. Only the strong survive. And I know that Leodin is strong enough."
Leodin, clutching her head and feeling super in pain and also really, really sad, does not feel strong enough.
I agree with you that she is strong enough, but still. You've put my sister in extreme danger.
Not as much danger as you've put her in.
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
You have internalized a monster. And at this, like, her voice changes, and she's, like, kind of looking at Eridu, but then she's also kind of looking at Leah. She's, like, kind of tilting her head both ways. And she says, "This is not the way this was to be. Tix was to die. Not like this." Pointing to Eridu. "Not like this."
Do you think that I want to have this being inside of me? I feel it attempting to eat away at my essence at every moment.
This was your choice to make, Eridu. And you made this choice.
Yes. But I made it because the option for killing him wasn't at our disposal.
Could I have killed him?
Of course. You were uniquely capable of killing him and eradicating him from the Feywild.
With that, Eridu like lunges forward, and as he does, his hand kind of turns into that wooden
Claw?
shape, and he grabs Senna by the throat, and like his eyes just burn green. He says, "Lies! She couldn't kill me."
Leah screams and lurches forward from the ground to like grab his wrists and pull him off. I'd probably have to roll something.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe like opposed grapple checks or something like that
Sure.
between the 2
We're
of
both
you.
so weak.
Who is slightly less weak than the other one?
Well, Leah's probably should take a disadvantage or something. She's all garbage right now.
Sure. That makes sense.
Look at me, I'm helping myself so much.
Emily is watching this all go down, and as Eridu lunges forward, she just goes like, "Ah!" Like, doesn't know what to do. Maybe Ellie is just equally not sure what to do.
I'm doing well.
yeah.
I rolled a 3.
You rolled a 3.
Well, I rolled a 4 -1.
Oh, mine is actually a 5 -1, so mine is a 4. So I got 1 point higher than you.
I was gonna say,
Wow.
although I don't know, I feel like
Wow.
it's already been said, but because with Ellie like watching this
Get
happen, can I flash of genius later then?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Just like
you could totally do that.
encouragement kind of, or like slash shout to Eridu, so maybe it causes like a slight falter. So
Oh, sure. Yeah, however you want to spin that, you can definitely use that feature in this context.
so yeah, +5.
Boom.
There we go.
Okay, so
Leah,
that's enough.
yeah, Leah feels very incapable of doing anything physical, but then with Ellie's encouragement slash Ellie having some cutting words toward Eridu, some combination thereof, Leah finds enough strength and enough adrenaline to leap forward and latch onto Eridu's shoulders and just
And it doesn't
rip him
take
back.
much. Eridu kind of like goes with it. The Tixian part of him melting away again,
Mm-hmm.
and he just, I'm so sorry. I couldn't hold it back. I tried.
Senna is massaging the part of her neck that was grabbed by Eridu, and she just has a look of contempt and disgust on her face, and she just keeps saying, "Not like this. It was not meant to be like this." She's fucking pissed.
Yeah. Leah, still gripping Eridu by the shoulders, vomits on his shoes. Much.
Eridu is barefoot.
Vomits on his feet.
Mm-hmm. Hillowfax says, "Oh dear, not again." And he comes through and he's quickly casting prestidigitation to clean the vomit off of all the things.
He's just like hoarsely saying, "I'm sorry," like over and over again, and also like her face is streaming with tears because it's just way too much, and all of the emotions around her are just like guilt and fear and worry and pain and sadness, and it's just she's a mess.
Understandably so. Understandably so. So there's been a bit of commotion, and I think another person comes over to check it out, and I think it should be Alan. Is Alan still around? I'm pretty sure Alan's still around.
I think so. Yeah, he was
yeah.
building plans for his new restaurant.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course.
Tavern thing.
Yeah. No, him and Rue got really close about that. Oh, hi puppy, by the way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was the
Dogs.
cutest dog. Cutest dog.
She looks like a little gremlin. She's got patches of like fur that she's pulled out and stuff. She's
Aww.
Baby.
Oh, puppy. So Alan comes over and just says, "Oh dear, what is happening? Is everyone okay? Does anyone need a beverage? I still have some of the private stock rum left. Can I help in any way?"
Can I'm gonna say, bring out a bottle. We might need it if he comes around soon.
Of course.
And then can I have like laid him down now because
Oh yeah.
it's probably like a lot of weight for me to be trying to like shoulder. And I'll like be knelt down next to him, trying to like bring him round.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, you make him nice and comfortable. You maybe take out like a cloak or something like that, and you fold it up to this nice little pillow shape, and gently rest his head on the pillow on the ground, and he seems to be comfortable as you can make him. And you're trying everything you can. You're like gently tapping his face. You're like kind of, I don't know, checking his eyes or something like that. And he is just still zonked out entirely. But you're doing everything you can to make him comfortable. Alan hurries back out with a bottle of, like the super nice, like 50-year aged barrel whiskey, something like that. And he said, "Huh?
Sorry.
No, you go. No, you go."
Can I take it from him and
Oh,
then open it up and kind of like
Waft it
around Eigner's face and just be like, Eigner, if you don't wake up, we're just gonna drink it all without you, and then you won't have anything left.
Yeah, you will. As you do that, you will see a slight twitch of the nose, but he still doesn't wake up quite yet.
Rue steps near Ellie and says, I have observed a lacking of willpower within your peer group, and it seems that many of them have opened themselves up to some form of possession. And if what Alan has told me is true about these beverages and the effects that they have on the human mind and the ability to reason, perhaps it is not best to allow Eigner to continue to drink this.
So sensible.
Yeah, but
Dang.
Yeah.
I think Rue, Agnes about to go through a very difficult time. I'm about to force him away from something very important to him, and something that essentially I think has been keeping him going for a long time. I think taking away the alcohol at the same time is probably not a good idea.
Ellie's such an enabler.
I mean, if it's that or this god thing, you can have the drink.
So, when one goes through a difficult time, they should have their senses dulled and their ability to reason reduced.
Not always, but sometimes I think it's okay. Just not, all the time.
And how do you know the difference from when it is okay and when it is not? Who decides this? That.
Well,
Wrong person speaking.
I mean, generally the person, but sometimes they can't be trusted to make that decision.
So sometimes people know what is best for them and sometimes they do not?
Yeah, sometimes people know what's best for them, or sometimes people just have to listen to me on it. And he's going to have to be listening to me on it for a while.
So, when one does not know what is best for oneself, they must defer to you.
Exactly.
I do not know how to feel about what you have just said to me.
That's okay.
Nor do I know how to feel about you allowing Eigner to dull his senses and deny him firm reasoning. How should I feel?
You just accept it, Rue. That's just going to be the easiest route for everybody.
Rue nods. Accepted.
Just deal with it.
Eridu's gonna have to teach Rue a little thing about addiction.
Yeah.
And once he does, I think Rue will have other opinions. Not even opinions, they're observations. He observes things and states them.
Yeah. So after all this, Senna looks like she is just completely fed up. She is completely fed up with this situation. She's just pissed. She goes in to her pouch, gets another handful of herbs, takes Leah's hand, and gently places the herbs in her hand, and then says, "If you need me, I will be at the shrine." And then, looking still very stony-faced and very angry, she shoots a glare over to Eridu, and then turns on her heel and just walks away.
I shout after her.
Sure.
I was gonna shout, hey, can't you help with waking him up? No?
No.
Okay.
She yells over her shoulder, "He'll be fine. He'll come to, don't worry."
Okay. Guess I'm waiting here then. Do it next
Then-
to it, so.
Then she stops and turns around and says, "Why don't you try and make him a little more comfortable? He has a bed, doesn't he?"
Roll my eyes. Okay, and then try and lift Fireman's lift.
Ask Rue for help.
No, I've got this.
No, she got this. She got this. Senna walks away. Emily is still standing there looking to everyone, like, hoping that someone will give her an explanation of what is going on.
I'll gesture my head at her as I start trying to get up to the house, and I'll fill her in
For sure.
as we
Well,
go.
well, as you're doing that, Emily will come over and try and help position Eigner. Maybe she'll get Eigner's shoulders, you get his feet, or the other way around, and you guys will kind of carry/drag Eigner.
I see that look.
Word. I mean, she's
I might
not.
cast reduce on him.
Yeah.
Reduce to carry him up really small.
Like, no, I've got this.
Tiny Eigner.
Yeah.
I'll just put a little Eigner on my shoulder.
She's being a
Under
bit
armor.
possessive right now.
For
Mhm.
sure, for sure. But okay, so you'll fill her in just generally, like we went to the Feywild, all this crazy stuff happened. Do you
Yeah.
feel? Do you? What? No, you go on.
I think like it would just be super monotone. It would just be like, she wasn't there when he got taken over, was she? Did you see that?
No, she did not go on the boar hunt.
Right. I'll say to her, do you know Mirana or Joro? Is that the other name for it?
I mean, she won't perk up at the name Urana, but then you'll say Joro, and she'll say, "Yes, yes, I know of Joro. Um, an unsettling uh, deity, to be sure."
That's one word for her. Well, that god, like air quotes with one hand, decided to take a trip out in Eigner's body, possessed him, took us to the Feywild. There was this bomb there. The bomb got stopped. Now Eridu is a tree man because he has a Feylord inside him. Because that's not going to be dangerous to the entire world, probably.
No, never.
And then we came back. Leah's, I don't even know. And now Agnes unconscious, and the god has apparently gone, but wants to come back, but that's not going to happen. And that's pretty much what happened.
So you're pointedly not telling Emily anything about the visions that you all saw. Pointedly not telling her that. The thing that seems to shock Emily the most is when you just say like, yeah, this god came down and possessed Agner's body and all that, and that her eyes go wide, her eyebrows go up, and yeah, I mean, like for people that know Emily's character at all, like she's a devotee of Anesti, right? Is that the name? Asa?
Yeah, I
Anesti?
believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Like the Raven Queen goddess gal
Yeah,
or
because the
something.
church we had in Twin Harbors
Exactly.
was Twin Estate.
The Temple of Anesti for sure. So Emily's super into Anesti, super into the whole idea of like deities and whatnot. And the first thing that she says is, "That can't be. The gods do not walk this earth, this world. The gods do not walk this world. What?"
Well, apparently they do, and they do it in people's bodies. Although
That
saying God for her is a bit of a push, like, let's be fair. She's just some woman who is way above her station.
Sure. She doesn't really want to quibble with you on that. In any case, Joro is the worst one of them all to somehow make it here to this world. This is deeply troubling.
Well, apparently Agnes been messing around where he shouldn't be messing around. And now she thinks that he belongs to her. So we just have to show her that he doesn't, right?
Yes, we will do what we can to counteract this whole thing. And then as she's saying that, you hear uncertainty kind of creeping into her voice, and she touches her forehead in a nervous kind of way. I don't know what to do, but I guess he's still unconscious for the moment. We should think about it. We should talk about it. We should plan what to do. We need a plan. We need a plan. Huh. And by this point, the two of you have gotten Eigner inside his house, brought the bottle of whiskey with you all, laid him out. Maybe have taken off some of the heavier pieces of his armor so that he can be a little more comfortable. you know, make sure it's nice and warm in there. Maybe put a little blanket over him, and then yeah, just kind of playing the waiting game for a little bit. Alan is busying himself with like making up more stew. When Eigner wakes up, he wants to have a nice big healthy bowl of stew to rejuvenate him, and he's making sure to pour some glasses of whiskey for everyone else to help calm their nerves a little bit. Obviously, it's been a bit of a crazy old time. And then Alan just mentions offhanded, like he's making excited conversation, trying to distract everyone from what a weird time it's been. And he just says, "And yeah, I wonder what was happening with that giant bird flying off in the distance. Did you all see that happening?"
Yes, that was concerning. Oh, I thought of a new way of slicing potatoes while we were in the realm of wild phase, with all of emotions.
Rue, you enterprising soul, tell me, please.
Well, and Rue starts to go into a discussion about how to um, cut potatoes so that every single cube is the exact same symmetric shape,
Mm.
and then discussing why everything being exactly the same size will help to ensure that everything absorbs the an equal amount of broth from the stew.
Mm.
Um,
Consistency. I like it.
but then there was the giant bird.
Yes, yes. What about that giant bird? Did you see what it was? What? I,
It was Leovan, the elf
oh,
that is old
oh.
and a little bit smelly.
I would agree and say actually that he's a bit smelly.
Oh, I
That's
only
just me
have
talking.
very limited olfactory senses.
Yes, yes.
My
I
ability
can
to
tell.
smell and taste is nearly non-existent.
I'll
Let's
cut
see.
in at this point. Like, so I've been like sat down. So Ivan's on the bed, and I'll be sat on a chair like next to the bed, literally like not taking my eyes off him.
Mm.
But I'll cut into this conversation and just say, Levin is an incredibly powerful druid. It's hardly a surprise that he can turn into a bird like that.
Yes, but why would he take the thing from Urana?
Huh?
What connection does he have with this goddess?
What did he take from your eye?
The
The seed that she
seed
plucked out of the tree in the
Oh,
Feywild?
right.
and covered in
Okay.
Tix's blood.
That.
Eridu, however, is sitting next to Leah. He's dropped his head into his hands and says, "This is all going so terribly wrong. What was I supposed to do? If there was a way of defeating ticks, why weren't we given a little bit of warning ahead of time?"
If I, even if I had known, I mean, even if I had understood that Senna believed that I could kill ticks, she didn't warn me that I was going to be seeing ticks. And I, I don't know my own capabilities. There was no way that I could have known. There was no way that you could have known.
And yet she says that this was not supposed to go this way. How are we to ensure things go a certain way if we're not given that direction? All we can do is make the choices that we make and do our best. I am tired of people having plans for our lives, of telling us what they think should have happened. If Senna had a solution to this problem, well, she should have acted on it. She should have been the one to do it, instead of leaving it in our hands and pretending like we should just fill in the gaps. I know I've made things wrong with her, and I'm not proud of that. But she hasn't been as forthcoming with us as maybe she should be.
I I don't know. I know that I've always relied on her, but well, 150 years ago or so. Anyway, but she did try to teach by not telling me what to do, but by helping me learn what I needed to do. This may have just been more of the same, and she didn't realize it was going to backfire. I don't know. It's been so long. I don't even know her anymore, really. And I didn't even know that you knew her until she said something.
Yes, her and I, we go back pretty far. She found me shortly after you disappeared, and she also taught me in many of those ways. She was never very forthcoming.
No. As much as we might wish she would be, it doesn't seem to be her way.
And Tix really doesn't like her. I can't make out all of what he's saying, but he's been babbling in my head since she showed up.
Stay strong.
I think I need to leave again for a little while. At least get away from Senna. I don't think it's safe for me and for her. Tix seems to be in a much more of a rage. His power is emboldened by fury when she's around.
Mm. Oh, Leah's so torn.
It's a sticky wicket. It's a sticky, sticky wicket of a situation, dude.
Leah, I think it's time for me to go back to Twin Harbors. It's time for me to set some things right. It's time for me to be the one who decides my own fate. I've had people, Garth and Aygrien and Tix and Senna, all this while, like puppeteers behind the scenes pulling strings. And now Leovan has taken something in that direction. Come with me. We should figure this out and make it right.
Wherever you go, I'll go with you. Anything I can do to help.
And on that, I'd like to take our break. I think it's about
Okay.
that time. I think that's
Sounds
a
good.
good little spot to do that. Thanks for joining us today. Lots of crazy old stuff and baggage to unpack in this session. Join us in about 15 minutes, and we'll be doing a little more of that. So yeah, thank you. See you soon.